You'll be surprised what I think is the best Zoro moment in Wano. What I thought was the coolest, most exciting Zoro moment in Wano. Alright, you guys will be surprised. I wonder if some of you guys can guess it, but I think no. I genuinely think it is this. I think that this is the best Zoro moment in Wano. I think this is the coolest Zoro moment in Wano. It's just, it gets you so hyped for what Zoro might be doing. Look at the pacing of this scene. Look at the pacing of this. It's beautiful. I love this moment. This was, you can feel the difference in, if you go back to Act 1 versus Act 3, the difference in pacing is monumental, right? Oda took more time with this moment than Zoro scarring Kaido. That's one of the reasons I don't love, personally, Zoro scarring Kaido. Like, it's cool in terms of conceptually what happened. It's definitely cool in terms of what happened, right? And obviously, like, you know, my personal bias is I assume that there'd be something more for Zoro, partly because of the dialogue and stuff that comes out of it. You know, Kaido is still saying that there'll never be a samurai as good as Odin. You know, Zoro saying, I was hoping I could at least knock you off your feet. Kaido saying, oh, you did enough. Like, I just thought that Zoro would maybe do more. I was not saying Zoro was going to kill Kaido. I never said Zoro was going to kill Kaido. I put out videos talking about how Zoro's not going to kill Kaido, right? But I did think that Zoro's going to get a second shot at Kaido, just because Kaido never acknowledged Zoro as a samurai as good as Odin. And Zoro himself was, like, part of it is the fact that Zoro himself is disappointed with the attack. Okay, but those are the minor reasons. The bigger reasons, I think, is mostly that it's like everything's happening really fast. Because the
pacing is really fast the further you go in Wano.
Right? So it's like, a lot of shit happens this chapter. So Zoro cutting Kaido is cool, but it's also kind of sudden. It's like, I'm not saying that, like, it's bad or anything. Like, this is a really impressive moment for Zoro, right? Like, it's probably asking too much to say, oh, it should be more drawn out or something like that. But to me, it's like, all of a sudden, he's busting out Ashura out of nowhere. It's like, oh shit, Ashura cuts Kaido. He's like, oh, that was the best I could do. I was hoping. He's a little disappointed in himself. Then some more shit's happening. And then the show is kind of stolen by Luffy getting all of this Conqueror's Haki stuff next. Luffy gets so much more disproportionate focus than everybody else. It's like, this chapter, which is like, this is the biggest feat that Zoro gets for the entire arc. And it's like, not even the main focus of this chapter. Luffy gets so much more focus and time and, like, you know, nice, drawn out excitement, I suppose, over his Conqueror's Haki moment and everything like that, that I think it kind of overshadows anything. Like, you know what I mean? That's just my personal feeling on it. Compared to, I thought this chapter, like, it's just really exciting. Like, again, the pacing, this was back with, like, I don't know, pacing is just different. Like, Oda really took his time to set the scene. We got the sakura petals blowing and everything like that. Knife being placed. We're getting a nice long prelude, kind of narrating basically the setup of what Zoro's been up to and everything like that. Cool introduction. Blah, 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 blah. We're getting some info on the ritual and what's supposed to happen and everything like that. I don't know, the scene just plays out very nice and slow. Like, you know, nice and slow, and then I love the way it suddenly snaps, right? So some shamisen playing, flowers blowing, everything's building up, and then the strumming reaches its peak, and then suddenly snap, and you get this really dope panel. Really dope panel. And it's just like, holy shit, all these samurai are shocked, how strong is the swordsman, etc. Really gets you hyped for Zoro over the course of the rest of the arc. Brandon King says, Luffy taking mommy virus to encourage prisoners. That was a good moment. That was a great moment. You know what? Let's start with that. I actually really like that moment. I love that moment. That was probably my favorite, besides Gear 5th shit, I think that was my favorite Luffy moment easily. Like, it's hard to say. So Gear 5th is cool for what it is, but it wasn't so much about Luffy's, like, it obviously, it's a representation of what Luffy's character is all about, obviously. But it's more like, at the end of the day, it's a transformation that Luffy kind of just wakes up and has. You know what I mean? It's not really something that, like the prisoner moment, the Udon prisoner moment, that was a really cool character moment for Luffy, right? Like, I don't consider Gear 5th a character moment for Luffy, right? It's a really cool embodiment of everything that, like, Luffy represents. So, conceptually, you know, that's the most fantastic version of Luffy we get. So Gear 5th is cool for a different reason. As a character moment, I really liked, I think it was chapter 949. I'm so good at this shit. It's definitely chapter 949. Look at this. Look at this. It's this chapter. it is this chapter. I love this panel is great. We came here to fight Kaido and win. I mean, it's a cool panel. It's what he's saying here is generic, but I think what I really, really love is this scene, right? This scene. This was sick. This was. I actually haven't reread this in a minute. This was just sick. It was. He's already tying up the elephant, saying, "I saw a pretty bad future just now." Already tying up the elephant, and then he says, "You get the rest." Love it. This line, I think, is especially great. Like, the whole sequence of events is really good. It's also, in my opinion, I think all of it's like a solid callback to, like, it's very, very similar to, if you go to chapter 904, right? So the arc begins, right? So before we get to Wano, the storyline begins with the same shit, right? Will you die or will you fight? Choose your own fate. Is being a hero someone else's job? It could be yours, right? So this is the mentality that the storyline of Wano actually is prefaced with, right? Before the, like, you call this prologue period, whatever. This is what happens before the Wano storyline begins, right? Encouraging everyone to stand up, fight for themselves, rather than just, rely on somebody else to do it. That's the same thing that Luffy echoes in this scene, right? This is the epitome of that sort of sentiment. Love it. This was probably my favorite scene for Luffy, I guess. I put Gear 5th in a different category, you know what I mean?